Okay, so picture this. You're a new player to Dokkan. Your stamina bar is small, but you keep leveling up, so it refreshes constantly. There's a celebration going on, maybe kind of like the 300 million download celebration that's happening right now. There's so many events, so many characters to grind, you're not sure where to begin. You got that picture? Now, think about someone who's been playing for a while. Your stamina bar is bigger, and it's a lucky day if you're able to level up and refresh it. You've got a limited resource, and again, there's just so much to do in this game. How do you make sure you're using your stamina as effectively and efficiently as possible? Well, never fear. I'm here to talk about all that and more in today's episode of The Newbie's Guide to Dokkan Battle. Alright everyone, my name is WafflesTheAsianYenbear, and today we're talking stamina. We're going to start by breaking it down and talking about how much of this limited resource you get per day. Then we'll discuss the daily stages, which ones you should do every day and which ones you can maybe skip. Then we'll discuss the differences between doing story events and Dokkan Awakening events and which you should be doing when. Next we'll talk to the older players here, and I know it's a newbie's guide but still, and we're going to cover what you should be doing once you've grinded almost everything available. After that we'll talk about Pan's secret adventure and leveling up. Finally, we'll cover whether or not it's worth it to use stones to refresh your stamina, how to properly use the boost feature, and then discuss some options of what to do while you're waiting for your stamina to refresh. As always, timestamps are on the screen, so just skip to whichever part is applicable to you. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers. Since everyone probably has a different max cap, we're going to just discuss how much is possible to earn in 24 hours. Now usually stamina refreshes on a 5-minute timer, so every 5 minutes you earn 1 stamina. If we do the math, there are 1440 minutes in a day, then divided by 5 equals 288. Sometimes during special celebrations we'll get 3-minute stamina refreshes, and that increases the cap to 480. Treat that as extra stamina when it happens, but we're going to focus on the 288 number today. So in a standard 24-hour period, you will earn 288 stamina. You're able to level up and that'll bring you back to your max cap, or you can use a stone to refresh your stamina, which will give you your max cap in addition to whatever you already had. But to keep things simple, we'll stick to 288. Now the first thing you should do is your daily stages. They're easy, quick, and it really adds up in the end. You can find them in the growth section. Going down the list, the important daily stages are the Hidden Potential event, Turtle School Training, and Hercules World Tournament. You'll see Training in the Clouds down at the bottom. That one's honestly not really that important, so you can skip it if you want. Okay, so I want to first talk about what I think is arguably the most important stage out of the bunch, and that is Turtle School Training. Training items are extremely important as a resource for building up a box, and you get some of the best training items from this stage. It's actually one of the few consistent ways of gaining more training items, so if you're out here doing it every day, it'll really make a big difference for you in the long run. So that's your first stop, and it takes 10 stamina, which brings us down to 278. Next, you're going to want to go over to the Hidden Potential stage. This is another important one because it's the main way you're going to be getting orbs to maximize your unit's hidden potential. If you want to know more about the Hidden Potential system, including the other ways to earn orbs, I did a whole other newbies guide on it the other day, and it's down in the description below. Anyways, that's usually once a day, costing 15 stamina, which brings our total down to 263. Now on weekends, there either won't be any Hidden Potential stages, or there will be all of them. It depends a lot on the celebration that's happening. For example, right now we have them all open on weekends for the 300 million download celebration, but it isn't always like that. I highly recommend doing them all if they're available, which will cost 75 stamina total, but it is very worth it. Then the last one is Hercules World Tournament. Now this one is arguably less important. There are a lot of different ways to grind out Zenny. While this is a quick and easy stage to do daily and it's going to add up, some of the more experienced players here really might not have a need for so much Zenny. I personally skip it sometimes, but for newer players I would recommend doing it, especially for whenever you end up pulling LR STR Broly, as he's a massive drain on resources to awaken him. That's 10 stamina, bringing our total down to 253. Do this one if you want, it's really up to you. Now let's discuss the next choice you need to face when using your stamina. Story events or Dokkan events, especially at a time like this where all Dokkan events are available. And I think in general, you should be prioritizing these story events first if you have a working and usable team to take on difficult events with. If you're brand new, focus on the Ginyu Force, then use your extra stamina on story events, and then focus on Dokkan Awakening your first real team when you have the whole Ginyu Force. The reason I would recommend doing story events first is that Dokkan Awakening events never really go away, while story events are available for a limited amount of time before they disappear for months. The Dokkan Awakening events usually rotate with each day of the week, although it is common for all of them to be open every day during the bigger celebrations, but they never truly disappear for any substantial length of time. So after doing your dailies, you should be focusing your stamina on grinding these story event units. You want to be doing that now with stamina instead of waiting and having to do it with keys from the Portal of Memories, since keys are a much more limited resource than stamina. Now there is one other exception to this rule, and that's regarding category boosts. Some story events will have an increased drop rate for certain category units. For example, Yardrat Goku's event has a boost for androids. If you have android units that haven't been Dokkan Awakened that you can make a team out of, spend the stamina, Dokkan Awaken them first. For example, going back to the Yardrat Goku, you can see I didn't have the LR Android 18 and 17 or the MVP 17 Dokkan Awakened. So I would focus more on getting those to LR and TUR state. The reason for that is that the higher rarity units give a higher percentage when it comes to category boost. So by awakening them first, theoretically I should be using less stamina grinding this story event because my drop rate is higher. I just have to wait a little bit longer before I start. So to put it back in a numbers perspective, your choice is really between grinding a Z-Hard stage for a story event about 16 times, that's 15 stamina per time, or doing a Dokkan Awakening event 10 times, that's 25 stamina per time. If you're really lucky, that'll be enough to finish up the story event for one unit, but likely you'll have to do that event over 2 days worth of stamina. That's also almost enough to Dokkan Awaken some units that need 77 medals. You'd have 70 after doing the Dokkan Awakening events 10 times, or enough to Dokkan Awaken one unit that costs 35 medals to awaken. So again, it comes down to your choice with how you want to proceed, as a lot of the choices in this video will, but I highly recommend grinding these story events first, except in some special cases. Well, what about once you've grinded out everything in your box? Maybe you're a veteran player or you're really dedicated to the game. Maybe it's a couple days into a celebration and you've already grinded out the new units. Well, after that, turn your attention towards the Prime Battle LRs or grinding the super attacks of some of the lesser used characters in the game. There are a lot of technically farmable or semi-farmable characters that are generally just a pain in the butt to grind, usually ones you have to awaken from the SR rarity. If you're like me, you'll put those off, but if you spend the rest of the day's stamina on those, it'll really help out your stronger units and save you a lot of Kais. Your training items and your awakening medals are a different story though. If somehow you've already done that as well, then I recommend focusing on the Baba Shop story treasures. A lot of story events have some sort of grindable Baba Shop treasure and you can exchange them for Kais. It's usually a pain, but if you're looking for something to do with the rest of your stamina, I'd recommend that. The Kais usually refresh every time the event comes around, so you can always try to grind those. Now, let's talk briefly about Pan's Secret Adventure and leveling up. So Pan's Secret Adventure are two special stages that are available once a week under the Growth tab. Stage 1 is available for 40, 60, and 80 stamina, and Stage 2 is available for 100. They have a chance to drop a pretty decent free-to-play support unit that even awakens to an LR now, but mainly they are known for offering massive amounts of experience. 200,000 points for Z-Hard on Stage 1 and 400,000 for Super on Stage 2, which is incredible, but the stamina usage is certainly a hefty cost. So while you should try to do it every week, be aware of how much stamina you're using on it and try to plan it so you know that you're going to get the level up from it. The best possible way of doing that actually depends on how you play Dokkan. For example, I work 5 days a week and generally have about an hour's worth of traveling each way. On the way to work, I'm able to play Dokkan, and sometimes I run into the problem where I run out of stamina just a little bit before a level up. Unfortunately, because of my job, I can't just wait until I've gotten 25 stamina again and go do a Dokkan event to level up. So by the time I get off work, I have a lot more stamina built up that essentially would go to waste because of the level up. This is a great time to use Pan's Secret Adventure because of that high stamina cost. It helps to make use of what otherwise would have been wasted. Another example of a good time to use it is if you know you'll have plenty of free time to grind another bar of stamina. So, for example, if I know that I'm going to level up, I can do my dailies and bring my stamina close to the 100 mark. Then I'd use Stage 2 of Pan's Secret Adventure to level up, and then I'll have been given extra stamina for the day. But I don't do that if I know I won't be able to grind out the extra stamina, because then I'm just wasting the level up on what would have been refreshed over time that I'd been away, if that makes sense. Which, a quick note while we're talking about it, if you're a new player who's playing Pan's Secret Adventure, try to be bringing a team to Stage 2 who all share the GT key link. That's the way to get LRB Pan's medals. It's through completing a mission every week where you bring a team with, you guessed it, the GT key link to complete Stage 2. It'll take a while to get all the medals, but it's important to keep that in mind when you're playing the stage. But while we're on the topic of wasted stamina, we should also discuss the boost feature. For those who don't know, the boost feature allows you, for simplicity's sake, to essentially double your rewards from a stage for twice the stamina cost. Hence, it's there to save you time. You can do it 3 times, and each time you use it, it takes 8 hours to recharge it back again. So you essentially have it 3 times every 24 hours. Now there are some limitations. For example, if you can only run a stage once per day, say the Hidden Potential stage, you cannot use the boost feature on that stage. You also have to have completed the stage at least once before on the difficulty that you're attempting. Now, I think a lot of people have their own policies for how they like to use it, but I find it's most convenient to use it on high cost, high time stages when I will have a period of time away from Dokkan so my stamina can recharge. So my personal policy is to use them on Dokkan events or Prime Battle events, either on the way to work or before bed. Some people like to do them on story events, but I find that it's really not worth it because running through a story event is relatively quick. Usually it takes less than 2 minutes, so using the boost there really isn't worth the 8-hour wait. But I like to think that you should experiment with what works for you and your schedule. Finally, there's one more topic to discuss: refreshing stamina with Dragon Stones. Almost everyone agrees to not using stones to continue in story events or Dokkan events if you get a game over, and I also agree on that. I think it's best to just take the L and try again. But not quite as many people agree on whether it's okay to use them to refresh your stamina in the game. If you didn't know, when you run out of stamina, you can use 1 Dragon Stone to add your max amount of stamina to however much stamina you currently have left, and overflow stamina is allowed with this. So say my max is 100 and I currently have 10 stamina, it would go up to 110. Now personally, I think if you're a hardcore player and have the free time, it is absolutely worth it. We typically get about 3 Dragon Stones per day for login bonuses. If you just do it once, you're still netting 2 Dragon Stones per day, and you've given yourself more time to play a game that you enjoy. Plus, as we kinda talked about in the beginning, grinding 1 unit is typically going to take 2 days worth of stamina, so if you have the time, I say go for it. However, I will say if you have a new account, it's best to just wait. New accounts level up so quickly and so often in the very beginning that you're gonna have a lot of wasted stamina if you're using your stones. You also won't have a high max stamina cap, so you're really not gaining the same equivalent as you would a bit later in the game. Now, one more thing I'm going to mention here, and I promise it's the last one, is that there are several different modes that do not require stamina that mid to late game players can enjoy. Things like Battlefield, or Ultimate Clash as it's called in-game, Super Battle Road, the Legendary Goku event, and Extreme Z battles all don't really require stamina. Often once you've used up your stamina, it's really a great excuse to go do those. Okay, but that's going to wrap up this video for me. It's looking like this one was a long one, so if you made it all the way here, congratulations. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a topic you'd like to see me cover in a newbie's guide at a later date, please let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, I hope you have a good day, good week, good life, and subscribe for more Dokkan Battle content in the future. Goodbye!